What's that?
Like, in your gut, do you think that fight will ultimately end up happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning, and John Jones agreed to do the fight. So John Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
Dana White says that John Jones agreed to fight Tom Aspinall, but is now running away.
John's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Great.
There were a lot of reports going around about John Jones and Tom Aspinall not wanting to fight. But UFC CEO Dana White recently shocked the mixed martial arts community by confirming that Jones had agreed to do so. For White, the fight is not just a possibility. It is a real thing that has not yet been made official. Jones agreed to fight when he was offered the chance, though the fight's timing is unknown. If it takes place, it has the potential to change the heavyweight landscape. Nevertheless, with everything going on behind the scenes, the situation feels like a chess match.
It's a conversation we've had many times now, the Tom Aspinall-John Jones fight. It's a bit different now, right? Because John's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight, Tuesday. We'll figure this out.
But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy. I didn't realize that.
It was made clear by White that he will not be swayed by internet rumors. Even when Jones talked about a future fight with Francis Ngannou and gave a vague response to rumors that he would be stripped of his title, White stayed firm. The UFC wants the Jones versus Aspinall fight. And John agreed, but he also gave the impression that it's not easy to find time for John Jones. It's always like working with an artist, hard to plan, unpredictable, and time-consuming. He said,
It was kind of crazy how much interest John showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou on her contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back in her contract or no?
Probably.
While White downplayed Francis Ngannou's chances of returning to the UFC, the exchange between Jones and Aspinall continues to spark debate. Aspinall recently said that he no longer waits for Jones because he sees himself as the real winner. He stated a desire to fight twice before the end of the year. Assuming Jones is retired and out of the picture, Aspinall is now focused on the next stage. Regardless of whether Jones is participating or not, if Jones withdraws, Aspinall's expected opponent would be Cyril Gane, one of the few remaining top heavyweights he has not beaten.
Hill and I love professional wrestling. This was a moment to be made. You call out Tom Aspinall, you walk his butt into the octagon as the man that's getting his hand raised. It's your moment. You can almost big dog Tom Aspinall. Cyril Gane no-sells you. He lets you sit there with your thumb in your mouth, just sitting there with nothing to do. Now you're the man. Cyril Gane now wants an opportunity at you. Do you big dog him? Or do you go, okay, my ultimate get back to you is...
I'll kick his same as everybody else.
Were you disappointed that he didn't call you in? Like, get in here, Tom Aspinall. I'm gonna get...
I was in Paris, like that's his place. I would have got booed. I would have got booed out of the arena, but that was fine. Like I was there for it. But listen, it worked out good for me in the end. I ended up fighting Pavlovich. I got a new contract. I got a big knockout. I got the interim title. Defended it. Like it worked out pretty good. So yeah. I ain't complaining.
Yeah, you should we are both in agreement that you should no-sell him now. I would make him win 10 fights to get a title fight if I was you. I'd be like, nope, you want to do me like that? You disrespect me? This is my way of getting you back.
Meanwhile, Ariel Helwany's new views emphasize the situation's complexity. On his YouTube show, Helwany gave 3 key updates on the deadlocked discussions. First, he indicated that Jones initially demanded significant cash compensation to face Aspinall, similar to what top boxers might expect. Surprisingly, the UFC met these requests. Jones first accepted, but finally backed out of the deal, according to Helwany. That alone has left the fight status totally unknown.
What did I say to all of you? What was it, 2 months ago now, 3 months ago? They got him the money. I'm not even going to call it money because, as I've said from the beginning, he always deserved millions upon millions of dollars. Money, it's what he's owed. It's what he's worked to achieve. But, there was a back and forth. They got him that money. They finally got him that money. And he said yes. And then he said no. And since he said no, they've been trying to figure out a way to get him to do this fight. One last fight. He ain't budging. And he's been starting to give us some sort of indication, hints, that he is not interested. But right before 316, he gave us many indications. And when I say not interested, I don't mean not interested in fighting. I mean not interested in fighting Tom Aspinall specifically.
Second, Helwany underlined that, despite Jones' reservations, the UFC is still going forward with the match. Dana White has stated unequivocally, both publicly and personally, that the fight must take place for the UFC. This is the bout that makes the most sense in the heavyweight class, and it's what fans have been asking for. Jones, on the other hand, is said to be unwilling to help the UFC make it a reality.
He's giving you hints. He's done. He doesn't want to do this anymore. I spoke to the UFC a long time ago about what my future plans were. I haven't really worked out since my last fight in New York. Honestly, I believe it's been in the UFC's best interest to keep presenting me as the company's champion, not Tom. This idea of the TV deal has been brought up. This fight is pre-TV deal. New TV deal comes into play, so it's not really in their best interest. But anyway, I've been playing the role of company man by doing nothing at all. John, company man. Maybe the greatest contradiction of all time. The UFC has done more for Jon Jones than any fighter on the roster, and that includes Conor McGregor. They have bet backwards more for him than any fighter in the history of the sport. Lest we forget, around 7 years ago, they moved an event on fight week because he was not going to get cleared by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They moved it to California. They have never done that for anyone. They probably will never do that again.
Helwany's third reveal is that Jones still wants to fight, but not against Tom Aspinall. That news, if true, throws a kink in everything the UFC has been working on, confusing an already tumultuous heavyweight picture. It is highly unusual for a reigning champion to avoid a top contender. If Jones continues to decline the fight, the UFC may be forced to strip him of his belt. This would raise Aspinall to full champion status, possibly allowing him to defend against Gain or another strong contender.
Doing the right thing. He didn't do the right thing with the light heavyweight belt, and he sure as hell is not doing the right thing here because Tom Aspinall has been the guy long before he even fought Stipe Miocic. So remember that when you're comparing legacies. Remember that when he's talking about legacy, what will this do for his legacy? How will he be remembered as opposed to how GSP is remembered? The
news exacerbates the stress. Tom Aspinall recently mentioned that the UFC is preparing to officially announce Jones' retirement. He talked cautiously but boldly, saying that his past assertions regarding Jones were neither jokes or exaggerations. Aspinall stated that he is not attempting to stir the pot, but rather expressing the truth as he knows it, with that revelation possibly on the horizon. The entire landscape of the heavyweight division might change radically in the coming weeks.
I saw an interview where it said you and John are aligned, and you guys have decided together to allow for the UFC to tell you what you're doing. Is that true?
Nah, man, John's retired. What are you talking about, guys?
What do you mean?
John, you guys don't follow John on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that...
No, me too, actually. Me too, but the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career, we all know. we know John's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So John's retired and it's time that we move on.
During a recent UFC press conference, analyst John Anik hinted at a possible fight between Jones and Aspinall. According to him, the UFC may be eyeing December in Las Vegas. For this mega fight, he made it clear that he was not speaking from inside information, but was optimistic based on the current discussion, and that the fight would be even bigger if both men entered the cage as champions. That option is now jeopardized if the UFC removes Jones due to inactivity or reluctance to fight.
John, does Aspinall and Jones happen in 2025? What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, I think we see it December 2025. T-Mobile Arena, Dateline, Las Vegas.
Not New York. Why not New York?
Well, John Jones fought and won at Madison Square Garden in New York last November. I'm a Boston guy. No, I mean, he checked that box. I'm not sure what the taxes are, but why does John Jones need to fight at Madison Square Garden? Why not fight at T-Mobile Arena in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada? You got live there. No, I don't know.
I'm feeling it.
Interestingly, Chael Sonnen, a former UFC fighter and current pundit, made a bold accusation, adding another twist to the story. He alleged on his YouTube channel that John Jones wanted $12 million for the Aspinall bout, which the UFC agreed to. According to Sonnen, Jones' pay would be the most in UFC history, topping that of Brock Lesnar, Georges St. Pierre, and Ronda Rousey. Despite the financial deal, Sonnen stated that Jones had not explicitly declined the fight. He suggested that Jones is still in the game, either holding out for more leverage or simply taking his time.
The number that John wanted, and I believe that to be $12 million. I got my own sources. I don't believe that John's turned it down. Even though Ariel's confirmed it, even though that's believed in our industry, I do not believe that John Jones got a phone call matching John Jones's demands, and he said, I do not believe that John Jones would play that game of chicken. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we wouldn't have heard about it. If they believe it, if it's to the point that they're ready to move on, it's to the point when they're done trying is when they go book a different fight for Tom.
Michael Bisping, another former UFC champion who is now a famous analyst, speculated on why the fight has not been formally confirmed. He thinks the UFC is waiting for the right time to announce the match in great style. In his opinion, a bout of this size deserves a full-fledged promotional campaign, involving press briefings and media tours, not simply a casual remark on YouTube or social media. He explained that even when he was an active fighter, the UFC closely watched bout announcements to ensure maximum attention. Bisping claimed that the fight between Jones and Aspinall is one of the most anticipated in UFC history and should be treated as such. He suggested that the UFC's silence and lack of formal confirmation could be a strategic effort to maximize hype.
Now, of course, this is one of the most highly anticipated fights in all of UFC history. And you can't just announce it, oh, the fight's gonna happen. No.
That's stupid.
Fights of this magnitude, the UFC want to do a proper job. They want to announce it in a spectacular fashion. They want to have a press conference. They want the world's media there. They don't want someone on YouTube or whatever, or on the phone just going, yeah, the fight's happening, right? Even when I was fighting my fights, I wasn't allowed to announce them. They wanted to announce them, as I said, in the proper way to make sure that all the world's media is there and it gets all the coverage that it deserves. This is the kind of fight that, of course, deserves that kind of attention. This is a fight the world are crying out for, and this is a fight that it seems like we are going to see.
I told you guys already, we'll get Aspinall versus Jones done. The heavyweight fight will happen. Just relax. I'll announce that.
All of this speculation comes after Jones startled fans at a seminar in Thailand by saying that he and Aspinall had agreed to wait for the UFC's green light. That statement simply added to the confusion, especially because Aspinall openly denied the plan and said he had already lined up another opponent. The gap between what Jones says and what he does has made the situation even more difficult to follow.
When are you fighting Tom?
I was waiting for it. The UFC, and Tom, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Cain Velasquez, a former heavyweight champion, acknowledged Tom Aspinall's ascent in the category, but questioned his ability to beat a strategic fighter like Jon Jones. Velasquez noted that, while Aspinall has remarkable power and movement, his assault patterns might become predictable. This predictability, Velasquez argued, played to Jones' strengths, his analytical mind and ability to methodically crush opponents. Instead of utilizing physical force, Jones would disrupt Aspinall's rhythm, reveal his weaknesses, and control the fight with better strategy and mental preparation.
Think of Tom.
Great, obviously, champion of the world. Amazing, he's beaten some tough guys to get there.
You think he beats Jon Jones?
No, I don't think he does.
Why not?
So me just watching him, I kind of see his pattern a little bit and his striking, the way he comes in and strikes. And I think Jon sees it too. Jon's a study man. He does his homework, He's a master at this. He's gonna know what to do. So I don't think he beats Jon. No. The simple fact is the way Tom he doesn't have a pattern that's somewhat easier to find when he comes in and strikes. And I think you know what we're talking about. A lot of things come with that. It's disguising your pattern. It's throwing fakes here and there before. But when he comes to attacks, he comes in and attacks. It's 100% full go. He comes in, glides in, lunges in, and does his attack. Again, not that it's not effective. It is. He's done great things with it. The type of guy that Jon Jones is, I think he studies them and he beats them because of.
Marcin Tybura gave a different perspective, claiming that the continuous delay in arranging the bout is not due to hesitation, but rather a premeditated attempt to build hype. He claimed that both the boxers and the UFC were strategically leveraging the suspense to enhance public attention and negotiation power. According to Tybura, the protracted suspense is meant to increase the fight's commercial attractiveness, ensuring that it hits its peak worth before any public announcement.
Crazy to think what this guy is capable of and how quick that was, and where is the roof? That's the only question. Who can stop him right now? I cannot tell. I know Jon Jones in his prime time maybe, but now he's might be a little bit older than the skills might be not there. So I don't know. It's crazy where he's going.
Curtis Blaydes leaned somewhat towards Aspinall, giving the interim champion a little edge of roughly 55%. Nonetheless, he stressed Aspinall's huge difficulty when meeting a seasoned champion like Jones. Blaydes praised Aspinall's skills, but stressed the difficulty of defeating Jones, who combines experience, composure, and adaptability in ways few others can equal. He predicted that Aspinall would take near-perfect performance to pull off the upset.
Do you think Aspinall beats him?
Yeah, I would pick him. I would go 55% him. Obviously, it's not gonna be a landslide. We're going against Jon Jones. He's a legend. He got all the weapons.
Rashad Evans, who has already faced Jones, gave a more introspective approach, acknowledging Jones' incredible accomplishments, while stressing the mental toll that defending such a legacy can take. While Evans respected Aspinall's momentum and the hype surrounding the fight, he sympathized with Jones' cautious approach. According to Evans, Jones isn't avoiding the fight out of fear, but rather assessing whether jeopardizing his hard-earned status is worth it at this time in his career.
All right, last thing. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, who you got?
I got Jon Jones. I think Tom Aspinall is a man, but I feel like, Jon Jones is just another level. He can do it in so many different ways with his striking, with his grappling, and I feel like, being in a situation, coming in a fight where he's kind of being pushed into this point, I feel.
Tom's a big boy.
Yeah, but I feel like with Jon's a big boy too, and Jon knows how to fight like a big boy. Right. One thing I feel like what Tom does really well is he moves so well, and I feel like that may give Jon a little bit of trouble, but I feel like Jon is smart enough to figure it out.
Georges St. Pierre offered a longer-term view, stating that no matter how amazing a fighter is, age and wear and tear will eventually have an effect on their physical skills. He lauded Jones as one of the all-time greats, but warned that decreases in timing, responsiveness, and stamina are unavoidable. Pierre viewed Aspinall's youth and explosive athleticism as big threats, especially if Jones was not in peak form. However, he felt that given adequate motivation, particularly financial incentives, Jones could rise to the occasion and finish his career on a high note.
Relives, talk about if I have to choose someone in his prime that I put in the Coliseum hand to hand, I think I would be Jon Jones. It's hard to deny that. However, nobody beats time, and Tom Aspinall is on He's on a hell of a run now. So it's to see how they get a match. You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. As a fan, I want to see this fight. I would like to see this fight, but I think Tom is very hungry, and it's up to John to see if he still wants to do this and if the UFC can compensate him good, because I think he deserves it. So it's going to be a hell of a...
Arman Tsarukyan emphasized on the tactical aspects of the potential fight, citing Jones' reach and range management as key advantages. Tsarukyan predicted that Jones would avoid frantic exchanges, instead slowly selecting chances to strike and using his better distance management. To counter Aspinall's aggressiveness, Jones might compel Aspinall to make mistakes, converting his forward pressure into lost chances rather than lethal strikes.
Who do you see as the #1 pound-for-pound guy in the UFC right now? Is it Makhachev? Is it somebody else?
Of course, it's John Jones.
John Jones?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We got to get him fighting Tom Aspinall maybe this summer.
Yeah, that's the fight everybody wants to see, even me, and because young guy versus like GOAT and real like heavyweight, so I feel like it's gonna be hard for the John.
Israel Adesanya shared similar sentiments, especially with the ground game. He underlined that if Jones could secure takedowns early and influence the tempo of the fight, the former champion would have a major advantage. Adesanya argued that Jones' ability to slow down the action and regulate the tempo would deplete Aspinall's energy and interrupt his explosive start, preventing the fight from becoming the fast-paced striking duel that Aspinall thrives on.
Yeah, who wins, Aspinall, John Jones?
If that does happen. I don't know, man. But Aspinall, the way he dispatched over
the Russian guy.
Oh my God! But he's the same height as me, if not an inch taller, but thick. Yeah. Speed. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm like. Okay, that's the danger. But again, grappling. He's a black belt.
Leg belt. Who gives?
John. That's different. They gotta fight. But if they don't ever fight, we'll never.
Frank Mir, another former heavyweight champion, analyzed the stylistic battle and praised Aspinall's knockout power and quick hitting. However, Mir predicted Jones' grappling and positional control would eventually determine the win. He stated that Jones had little to show at this point and that pulling out of the fight would not jeopardize his legacy. Mir perceived the risk-reward balance as severely skewed against Jones, so his hesitation was normal given the potential negative.
Tom might have the best chance of anybody to beat John right now. But that being said, I still think John wins the fight just because of his wrestling. I think he puts Tom on his back and is able to nullify his jiu-jitsu from being top position with his elbows and control. What does John win to take that fight? He goes out there and beats Tom. Is it really going to make or break his career? I don't think anybody can.
As it stands, the UFC is a new territory if Jones refuses to fight Aspinall and refuses to step aside freely. The company will have to make a difficult decision, strip him and move on, or keep trying to cajole him back into the cage. Regardless, the heavyweight category is on hold, and supporters are getting anxious. If Jones truly wants to cement his legacy, he must face Aspinall. Yet, if he walks away, Aspinall will take the division ahead with or without Jones.